Drake kicks off the third episode of his ICEMAN series in the capital of Italy, Milan, with the previous episodes being set in the UK and his hometown Canada. From what we were told by insiders and such, this episode was supposed to be the big bang, the finale, especially as this was also the quote-unquote red episode, where Drake was going to press the red button, almost like some kind of special nuke that was going to drop and reveal everything. We see a shot of an Italian ICEMAN truck, which then transitions to the camera entering an Italian bowling club. Drake enters the place with his usual ICEMAN outfit, the blue jacket and the secret backpack, the same backpack that Central C gave him in the second episode, presumably containing something very important as the Pinocchio character chased after him when he had it. Drake sits down in the stands and gets on the phone with Yeat, one of the few rappers that actually stuck by Drake and stayed loyal. They have a couple songs together, Yeat even dropped a cover of Feel No Ways, and these past 2 weeks Drake has been in Europe, with Yeat performing with him. Yeat is dressed up like an Italian mafia member whilst inside some historic building. He questions Drake if he made it alright and then tells him that he's got the other plan set up in case anything goes left. We unfortunately don't hear Drake's side of the call, but it's clear something's up. Drake's hiding in a small local bowling club, Yeat was asking him if he made it alright, and then he has another plan in case anything goes wrong. It's clear the Pinocchio characters from the previous episode are still on his tail, and want whatever is in the bag at any cost. Drake then leaves the playing area and re-enters the main area of the bowling club, this time 3 new guests, one of these being the popular Italian rapper Sfera Ebbesta, the best-selling artist in Italy of the 2010s, with him currently holding the record for the most songs reaching #1 in the country. He hands him a red card, potentially containing a secret message of such. Everyone leaves and Drake walks to a nearby car, where he will drive around for a bit whilst previewing new music. Now before we get onto that, I personally found it odd that Drake got onto a car instead of the ICEMAN truck that was shown to us. Could be possibly nothing, or him symbolizing he's trying to stay hidden. The first song Drake plays is titled That's Just How I Feel, which has some interesting lyrics. I wonder how long I'll be at the top if they don't kill me. With Drake reigning at the top of the music industry for pretty much over a decade, he suggests that the only way for someone to dethrone him would be by simply killing him. I wonder how long it'll take him to count over 2,000 million. 2,000 million is literally 2 billion, and given the timing of his ongoing lawsuit against UMG, it sounds like a direct shot. Drake's been fighting UMG in court over the role in pushing Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us, which he claims damaged his reputation whilst making the label hundreds of millions. By throwing out a figure as massive as 2 billion, Drake could be hinting at the kind of money he believes they'll eventually owe him if the case tilts in his favour. Around 2021, Drake signed a massive deal with UMG, reportedly worth about $400 million, so the figure of 2 billion doesn't seem too unrealistic. 18 years where we haven't been resting, 5 years and you rappers turn dusty, and you old fellas think you can touch me. Drake's first mixtapes dropped in 2006 and 2007, with Room for Improvement and Comeback Season. Since then, and for the last 18 years, Drake hasn't been resting. He has relentlessly recorded and released albums, gone on world tours, with no extended period of time off. Whilst other rappers, they are 5 years in the game and fall off, pretty much the standard artist career. They blow up, have a couple years of clout and then vanish. Then the line about old fellas, likely talking about the likes of Pusha T, Ye, Pharrell Williams and Rick Ross, as they have all recently had problems with him. In the song What Would Pluto Do from For All the Dogs, Drake says something similar to this. You know I'm beefing with much older guys. So even though these rappers are much older, more experienced, wiser, well connected, they still cannot beat Drake or get the same hits as him. And I really did F up the summer, not the same way I effed up last summer. Drake is saying this year in 2025 he had a successful summer, compared to the last one where he didn't do so well. In the eyes of the public, he lost a beef which left a big stain on his career, especially as these days you can't open a comment section without some random dude calling calling Drake a kiddie lover. Drake would then play another song, Lake Como, which would actually turn off, play only the instrumental and freestyle over it. Last year was funny, fellas had bare jokes, now fellas see me out in person and they choke. Once again referencing 2024 where the beef occurred. By saying everyone had jokes, he was probably referencing everyone clowning him throughout the beef. But when he's saying people see him in person, they get scared. All these other fellas been acting like they woke. Potentially a shot at Kendrick here. He suggests he portrays himself as woke or conscious primarily for the mass appeal or trendiness rather than genuine conviction, which really aligns with Kendrick's history. Throughout the whole beef, he's been outing Drake on how he treats women, but then gives 3 features to Playboi Carti, who, you know, has a shocking past with women. We then move on to the next scene, a small Italian restaurant with walls that are painted red in theme for this episode. The camera is centered around a table ready for 4 people, and one by one the Pinocchios arrive and sit down, ready to feast. And I should also mention that throughout this entire scene, there is a very dark and eerie instrumental playing, making it seem like something is about to go down. Personally, I love this whole almost horror feel of these past 2 episodes. The first one, Drake hiding and running from Pinocchio that was following him and hiding in a bush. Then this one where they're teaming up on him and plotting against him. If you guys didn't know already, this Pinocchio character is believed to be Kendrick, and really anyone who turned against him and has contributed to tearing him down, as really the whole story of Pinocchio is based on lying, right? The boy whose nose grows when he lies. Not only that, but he's actually a puppet who dreams of being a boy, which fits into how everyone has been treating Drake these past 2 years. They lie in hopes of becoming the boy, or becoming greater than him. Now these Pinocchio characters start getting served ice. To me, the ice could be a representation of Drake, as he is the Iceman. So could this be him saying these Pinocchios, these liars, these industry slaves are feasting on Drake, defaming him to boost themselves? They then get served a bowl of what looks like either red paint or tomato sauce, with them then painting on the white tablecloth legacy, a sign that they are feasting on the Iceman's legacy. They're planning to tear down his legacy, because if you look closely after he finishes painting the word, they all start inspecting it, looking at it, thinking about it, and all end up nodding, showing that they agree that they want to do something to his legacy. They then place their ice cubes on the word legacy, leave, with the waiter ending off the scene by pouring ice onto the table. We then cut to the next scene. It seems like Drake has finally arrived at his destination as he enters an expensive looking room with a girl seemingly waiting for him. Many people theorize that this is actually the CEO of UMG, Lucian's Grange daughter-in-law. Not actually her, but a representation of her, or just a lookalike. Drake has posted her previously on his plot to his Instagram account and even followed only her for some time. She even modeled for the brand back in 2020, however this was before she was Lucian's daughter-in-law, as she married his son Elliot Grange in 2023. What this scene could symbolize is that she is actually feeding Drake information about Lucian's and UMG's plan. For the past 2 episodes, Drake has dropped singles right after. These are very important as Drake has to prove to everyone that he's still got that hitmaker talent in him. So the rollout, promo and song quality has to be perfect. Well, guess what? After this 3rd Drake Iceman episode, you know who announced their surprise dropping an album? Justin Bieber. And funnily enough, you know what label Justin is signed to? UMG. This is a theory that went viral on Twitter and it doesn't seem too far-fetched. UMG saw Drake was dropping the 3rd Iceman episode, the red episode where he's going to press the red button, the big finale. So UMG panicked and tried sabotaging him by getting Justin to drop swag too. And with the help of insider information from Lucian's daughter-in-law, Drake could have been 2 steps ahead and knew they were going to try to muffle his release, which is why he didn't drop a single after this Iceman episode. Instead, we got a Cash Cobain remix to Somebody Loves You. This one does seem a little bit crazy, but personally I love reading into the theories and different secret meanings behind all these episodes, so I don't even mind. As Drake goes to change in a different room, we get to hear and see more unreleased music. Firstly, Stuck, a groovy jazz dance song. After this, Drake plays the beat to the now released Doghouse, which he lays the foundation to. Drake finally finishes changing, has a sip of wine, says bye to the girl and leaves. The girl then picks up a Pinocchio toy, which she winds up and puts towards her ears. This is one of those wind-up toys which I'm presuming plays like a little song. Not sure what this could mean honestly though. Drake then gets back into the car and drives to the next location whilst playing the Cash Cobain Somebody Loves You Part 2 remix. As Drake continues driving towards the next scene, we start getting the background footage of the different locations again, this time with the Pinocchios at them. One in front of the castle and one in the ice freezer. The next scene we'll get is inside an Italian theatre. Drake arrives and looks over the area, scouting it out, seeing if anyone's there. Drake eventually heads down and we get an opera recording playing in the background, a track from Ruggero Leoncavallo's opera Pagliacci from 1892. Specifically, it's the most famous aria from Act 1, where the main character, the clown, sings Vesti la Guba, which means put on the costume, after finding out his wife is cheating. This is one of the most famous openings in opera history. The image of the sad clown forced to laugh through his tears became a symbol of tragic irony in art and culture. Now honestly, this may have been simply used because it's a famous Italian opera song, and of course Drake is in Italy, or it could have a deeper meaning. Drake used Vesti la Guba to cast himself as a sad clown, forced to keep performing and flexing for the world while privately dealing with lawsuits, betrayal and pressure. The opera sample adds a dramatic, almost Shakespearean weight, framing his UMG battle and public image as a tragic performance he can't escape. As the scene unwinds, a lot of pressure starts building. The song gets more and more intense, there's chanting, people entering the room, and the opera song turns into a dark trap beat. Eventually, a suited man enters the center stage and sits down face to face with Drake. This scene is possibly Drake renegotiating his deal with UMG. Now pay attention. At the start of the conversation, Drake has the backpack in between his legs, but it seems like as the conversation goes on, Drake got concerned and hid the backpack behind his leg and grips onto it tightly. Was Drake scared of his offer? Offended? Concerned? He even starts looking around at the spectators, until eventually Pinocchio enters the stage. Is this UMG's secret weapon? They failed to re-sign their superstar, so they bring in Pinocchio, Kendrick, to tear him down, scare him. This could be UMG's puppet. They sent Pinocchio after Drake to get whatever is in his backpack, to plot on his legacy. Drake realizes he's being set up, so he quickly escapes. Fans even drew comparisons to the movie Eyes Wide Shut, which has a similar looking scene. A movie about desire, jealousy, and hidden power. In this scene, Drake is standing in the middle of the theatre, surrounded by people watching from above, while one figure confronts him under a spotlight on a red carpet. It's almost a direct visual echo of Eyes Wide Shut, where Tom Cruise finds himself trapped in the center of a ritual circle, surrounded by masked elites. In both scenes, they put the main character at the center of judgment, exposed and powerless, while hidden forces look down on them. For Drake, it could be a metaphor for the music industry. He's showing himself as a performer on trial, forced to play his part whilst executives and elites watch from the shadows. It ties back to the same themes as the opera sample: masks, performances, and the pain of being trapped in a role when powerful people are pulling the strings. Eventually, Drake arrives at a nightclub and reunites with Yeat. Now think about it. At the start of the episode, Drake called Yeat and Yeat told him, if something goes wrong, I got the backup plan ready. And I personally think things did go wrong. He was at the theatre with the label boss, with UMG, trying to talk it out or renegotiate his deal. But it seems like things went wrong and Drake dipped. So now he's with Yeat, which is a backup plan. And this will make sense later on at the end, so just keep this in mind. Not too much goes on in this scene apart from they just preview new music. We first got to hear Doghouse featuring Julia Wolf and Yeat. Now at first this may seem like a generic rage club song, but the lyrics are actually kind of interesting. Drake says, shout out to her ex, he a crash out, took too many pills, he a crash out, she in hidden hills in a glass house. Some fans theorized this was aimed at Ye and his ex-wife Kim Kardashian. For the past couple years we've seen rumors that Kim had an affair with Drake, and with these lyrics, Drake is only trying to add fuel to the fire. Fans even analysed the railings from Kim Kardashian's Instagram post and compared them to a mansion Drake was staying at whilst he was in Italy, and it seems like it's the same place, with Drake even liking her Instagram post. Kim's ex is Yeat, a literal crash out who is also an addict. And where does Kim live? In the Hidden Hills. Then on Yeat's verse, F a money tree, I'm a cash cow, seemingly a direct diss at Kendrick. Money Trees is one of his biggest songs, and Yeat is saying, forget that, I'm a cash cow. Now, is this an actual diss or just a coincidence? I'm not sure. Drake eventually leaves the club and we move on to the final scene. Drake enters the historic hallway we've seen as background shots throughout the whole stream, through the garden and into the artistic sacristy of the Chiesa del Carmine, the Church of Carmine, which looks like the exact same place Yeat called him from at the start of the episode. So is this the backup plan, the second thing Yeat had ready? Yeat called him from this room at the start of the episode. Then later on, things went wrong at the negotiation with the label at the theatre. So now Drake's pulled up, they're doing the backup plan at the same place Yeat was at the start of the episode. As Drake enters the room, the Pinocchios slowly make their way in too, with it seeming like they are finally going to get him. And as that is happening, this beautiful ICEMAN instrumental starts playing, titled Freeze the World. Then one by one, the Pinocchios surround him. It seems like this is the end of the road for Drake. He takes off the backpack and surrenders. However, this is where it gets interesting. Why is one Pinocchio missing? Did one of the actors simply not make it in time, or is there a meaning behind this? Is this the UMG mole that has been feeding Drake information? And again, this goes back to the plan about Yeat. He said it's a backup plan in case anything goes south, and things did go south. So where's Yeat? Is he going to pull up in a cloak and a little cap like a mafia boss with a Tommy gun and spray the Pinocchios down? I genuinely have no idea what this scene means, but I think Drake lured them there. Clearly whatever is in the bag is very important, and this entire time he's been trying to hide from the Pinocchios, but now they've got him. So what happens now? Now actually I have another kind of theory or explanation for what could have happened. Let's go back to the scene in the club with Drake. There is 2 times that Drake actually takes off his bag and tries to give it to the people on stage, or he takes whatever is in the bag out of it. I'm not too sure. But I feel like he wouldn't take off the bag like that for no reason. He was clearly handing something over, or receiving something even maybe. And again, he went to the club after the negotiation in the theatre. So again, could this be part of the backup plan? So maybe Yeat took the real bag? Does he have the item that was in the bag and Drake purposely hid the item to lure them to the room? Like, Drake clearly knows he's being followed, so it makes sense he wouldn't have the important item with him. And I guess this final scene could also be a representation of the 20v1 beef. Everyone was dissing him, defaming him, everyone wanted a piece of Drake. So many people got dragged into the beef to try get their clout, and that's showcased by the Pinocchios chasing him and slowly closing in on him. But little do they know, he's got a secret plan. I don't know guys, the last segment is very interesting. I don't feel like he would let himself get caught on purpose. Obviously, they've got a script to this, they've directed this. It'll probably all be explained in the next episode. But again, Yeat said he's got a backup plan. He went to the club to Yeat after the failed negotiation with the label. So he clearly got rid of whatever was in the bag, and he's setting up the Pinocchios. He's lured them in on purpose. So guys, that was the 3rd episode of the ICEMAN series that Drake is making, the little movies, the streams. This is probably the best one yet. He's previewed the most music, and I think he's had the best kind of storyline. People were saying they were disappointed with this one. You guys probably saw like Kai Cenat saying, oh, I just wasted like 2 hours of my life. But I also think it's just because people don't really get it, or they're not really fans of Drake. I just think people have the wrong expectations for this. They probably expect Drake to, I don't know, just preview music for an hour straight or something like that. Like, no, the whole point is it's supposed to be a secret movie, or not a secret movie, but a kind of movie live stream with secret meanings. He's just previewing a little bit of music, teasing us. That's the whole fun of it. Like, you don't watch a, I don't know, investigation movie, a thriller movie, a psychological thriller movie to know what's going on. The whole point is supposed to be like, you want to find out what's going on. So yeah, I just think people have the wrong expectations, or they just want to poop on Drake because, you know, it's cool to hate on Drake in 2025. But yeah guys, let me know what you think of this episode. Is it your favorite so far? I'm glad he previewed a lot of music in this one, because I think in the second one with Central C, he previewed previewed which one. He previewed that single with Central C, which is like the solo Central C one, and then he previewed the beat in the elevator, and I'm pretty sure that was all. Where in this one we got a lot, and that ICEMAN sample beat at the end sounded crazy. So you guys, do you think there'll be another episode? There has to be. He can't just leave it on a cliffhanger like this, or could he? And then after this one, like, this could be the cliffhanger, so we're interested in what happens next, and then the next thing is the album. I just think a lot of the fan pages on social media kind of got us excited because they were saying, oh, this is the red episode, he's going to press the red button, it's going to be the crazy episode, when it really wasn't that, but it was still a cool episode. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Like, subscribe, comment, have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.